60 Minutes Rewind.
Barbra Streisand is a stunning performer. She's also very private and very uncomfortable with publicity. So why would she open up her life to 60 Minutes? Over the past few months, she's asked us that question dozens of times. Fact is, she had just released a retrospective of her 30-year singing career, and she wanted to publicize her much-anticipated movie, Prince of Tides. And one price that she had to pay was this invasion of her privacy. I knew her when she lived on this street, 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, back in the early 60s. She had left her family in Brooklyn at 16 and had come to the Apple with dreams of greatness.
Right.
And you lived where?
I lived up there.
Did you believe 30 years ago when you slept there that you were going to be Barbra Streisand?
I knew that ever since I was 7 years old.
You really?
It just had to be, yeah. There was no other way for me to be.
How would you like to go upstairs?
Oh, I would love it.
And see where you used to live?
Yeah, you know, did you ever see the movie Owl and the Pussycat?
Yep.
It was done in a tenement building that looked just like this.
Like this one?
Yeah, 3rd floor, yeah.
$60 a month. How many rooms, do you remember?
4.
4.
The old tenements.
What did your mother think of your living here? Honest.
Oh, she didn't like it. She thought I should be in Brooklyn. I can't believe this.
We've been waiting.
The door opened, and memories flooded in.
And this was my living room.
This is
Oh,
your
my
living room,
God.
and these are your endirons.
Really, for all these years,
Yes.
I am so shocked that there is an apartment still here. Look at this. This is what I remember.
The air
this,
shaft?
This faced the brick wall. This window faces nothing.
This is
See
the
this
view.
view, Mike? This is the view.
Even 30 years ago, as a relative unknown, Barbara had her own chutzpah. I was doing my own TV show around the corner from this apartment, and she was a regular guest. You know something? I really didn't like you back 30 years ago. And I
How
don't think
come?
you liked me either.
I
don't
thought
think
you were mean. I thought you were very
didn't-
mean.
Come. I didn't think that you paid much attention to me because you were totally self-absorbed back 30 years ago.
Wait. I
when we
resent
worked
this.
together.
I resent this. You invite me as a guest on your show, and you liked, we would talk about all kinds of subjects that interested me, right?
Right.
So you were using me as a guest on your show to talk.
Right.
Now, how do you dare call me self-involved?
Self-involved is one thing. Self-absorbed is, you know something? 20 or 30 years of psychoanalysis. I say to myself, what is it that she's trying to find out that takes 20 to 30 years?
I'm a slow learner.
How many years
How
have you
about
been in psychotherapy
bi-
off and on?
Why do you sound so accusatory?
I'm not accusing you.
Are you against psychotherapy?
Nick Nolte stars in Prince of Tides, the movie she's been working on the past 3 years. She plays a psychiatrist, he the brother of her patient. The movie is about how childhood traumas make for unhappy adults, something Barbara knows a lot about. Her own pain started when her father died. She was just 15 months old. He remains almost desperately important to you, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would have liked to have a father.
Yeah. Well, you had a stepfather, but your father.
I had a stepfather when I was 7 years old.
But she says he almost never talked to her, and when he did, it was awful. She still remembers he once told her she couldn't have ice cream because she was too ugly. What made him such a creep? I mean, he didn't talk to you. Come on.
Why do you do that? You don't believe me? Like I have to convince you of this, or what?
Go ahead.
The man never talked to me.
Why?
Why? You know, at the time that I was a child, I mean, I just thought that I was awful. I must be so awful. I remember this is awful to say, you know, this is just,
Were you just jealous of him that he took your
Jealous?
mother away?
God, I don't want to cry. I was at summer camp.
Okay. For a moment, she couldn't continue. But then she found the words.
I look at his life, you know, he left his own children. He left 3 children, and then he was saddled with my mother's too. So he was a man who couldn't give affection.
Yeah, but he must have been nuts about your mother if he did that.
He was mean to my mother. I saw him mean to her. This was not a nice man.
And her relationship with her mother only made things worse.
My mother never said to me, you're smart, you're pretty, you're anything. You could do what you want. She never told me anything like that. I would say to my mother now, why didn't you ever give me any compliments? She said, I didn't want you to get a swelled head.
Barbra says her mother told her she was odd, skinny, and not pretty enough to be a movie star, that she should be a typist. Are you very proud of Barbra?
Who would not be? Who would not be proud of this girl?
Are you close?
She hasn't got time to be close to anyone.
You know what your mother told me about her relationship with you.
What?
She says you haven't got time to be close to anyone. Quote. And
She said to anyone, or did she say
to anyone.
to her?
That's your own mom. And even now, Mom's judgment stings.
You like this, that 40 million people have to see me like do this.
Barbra, what am I going to do? And then I wrote. And then my next song was.
No.
And that's what the picture's about. That's what Prince of Tides is all
Here's
about.
the truth, okay? That I wanted to make a very strong point in the movie about grieving and about crying. If you notice, I do it through, obviously it's the story of a man's catharsis. A man's getting to the point where he can feel again. In order to feel even joy, you have to be able to feel the pain. I just don't want to have to do it in front of 40 million people. It's a kind of private issue, you know?
Barbra today is obsessed with privacy and with work. She leaves her home in Beverly Hills for the studio in her mobile van so as not to waste a minute of production time, she says. This is Barbra's world, the cocoon where she's in total control. 3 years into this movie project,
Are you going to follow me out?
Yeah.
she still pushes through a 15-hour workday.
Hi, y'all.
Years ago, the famed director of Funny Girl, William Wyler, gave Barbra a megaphone and told her she should be a director. Result? 8 years ago, she directed Yentl. Now there's Prince of Tides. The movie is a vision in her head, but it changes daily, and sometimes with Barbra even hourly, down to the minutia of how to say a single word.
Oh, now I hate it. I hate the word beautiful.
I could maybe shorten it.
Isn't it beautiful? It's the you, isn't it?
It's
Isn't
the
it
full.
beautiful?
I think it's the full.
She is a
part.
complicated fusion of
Isn't it
self-confidence
beautiful?
and self-doubt. She is fiercely competitive, a woman who wants to be the best.
There's not that feeling of that. What is it? What's missing?
Hold on.
Down the years, she has often been the target of nasty criticism from her peers.
If I were a man director, would they even ask the question? No.
No.
You assume men directors control their work. It's not a negative. I don't like to be given bull. It's like if I'm in a work process and I'm dealing with an ad, and somebody tells me they've darkened a certain letter or made a certain color, and then they don't, I don't like that. So they see a certain side of me that people might call difficult.
She says she doesn't want cameras to film her at work because it's too distracting.
77.
You're
77.
so close to me.
3, 4.
Take two.
Putting on
Watch
this-
director Streisand
Yeah.
take over.
Can I just see the difference if you put that one light bulb on right there? Come in closer on the back camera to sort of simulate the distance of this one. I think you're better in this camera because this is a little too far over. Do I have to put shoes on?
Leave the shoes off, Paul.
That's okay.
And start the interview, please.
They say I'm difficult?
You would love to control this piece.
Absolutely. What, are you kidding? Of course. I don't trust you.
The story will continue after this.
When are you going to be 50? I knew you were going to. I didn't know what you were going to do when I asked the question.
I can't believe it because I don't feel it.
And she doesn't look it. She turns 50 next spring, but she looks about as young as she did in 1963 when she was a guest on the Judy Garland show. And when these two legends sang together that night, it was magical. Listen to what Barbra has written about that night. I remember her hand was shaking in mine, and I thought then, why is she so frightened? Now, so many years later, I understand.
What do you understand?
It's like going out after being in the business 30 years. You know, it's like everybody's ready to say she's going downhill or her career's over, or they want it to be over. Not the public, mind you.
So you're frightened.
I think, well, what if I go out there and they go, well, she's not as good as she used to be?
She won't sing in concert anymore. She even chose not to include her own vocal in Prince of Tides.
You won't sing in concert. You didn't sing. This disappointed me in Prince of Tides.
Why were you waiting for me to sing?
Because that's who you are first to me. I know you want to be an actress.
That's how I began. I didn't want to bring the attention to Barbra Streisand, the singer. It's exactly the reason I didn't sing.
Where she wants attention now is on Barbra Streisand, the director.
2 feet and 4 frames.
2 feet and 4 frames?
Mm-hmm.
It's 1:30 in the morning. There's one last edit before she says goodnight.
Night.
Good night, sweetie.
Night, night.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
The kid from Brooklyn, the youngster from
Bye.
3rd Avenue, has realized
Good night, boys.
almost
Good night,
all
y'all.
her wildest dreams.
Hey, I like this. This is very good. Can you go wherever I go? You know, like in the olden days, Marlene Dietrich and all those, you know, real movie stars, and they would have a light that would follow them around the whole stage in the good old days. Night, night.
You know something? I've gotten to like that girl.